Night after night, a sudden urge breaks your sleep. Left unmanaged, it chips away at focus, mood, and safe steps in the dark. Stay with me for a calm, proven way to quiet the bladder after dark. No extremes, just smart routine. I want to start where many busy evenings in North America actually unfold. On the couch, a streaming cue rolling, a slice of pepperoni pizza still fragrant with tomato sauce, a tall glass of diet iced tea sweating on a coaster, and a can of lemon seltzer close by because it feels lighter. It's a familiar comfort, until that sharp, inconvenient urge cuts through the scene. You stand up, you go, you come back, you settle, and then again. If this pattern has been chipping away at your nights, you're not imagining it, and you're not alone. Tonight, I'm your guide, not to scare you, but to help you understand why the urge can become louder after dark and what to do about it in a calm, methodical way. I'll also make a clear promise up front. At the very end of this journey, I'm going to share a simple, 90-second in-bed reset that many people find helpful when the urge flares at night. It's deliberately saved for later, because the reset works best only after you've put the right pieces in place. And that matters, because in health, timing and sequence are not minor details. Let's name what's happening in plain language. Urgency after dark often stems from three overlapping forces: what irritates the bladder lining, when fluids are consumed, and how the body redistributes fluid once you lie down. That third piece surprises people. We spend hours commuting or sitting at a desk. Fluid quietly pools in the lower legs. When you finally put your feet up at the end of the day, gravity's spell breaks and that fluid returns to circulation. The kidneys do exactly what they're supposed to do. They make urine. If the bladder has been a little irritable already, that new flow can feel like an emergency. There's something else worth addressing directly. It's not only about drinking less. Many people restrict water aggressively in the evening, then feel dehydrated, headachy, or simply parched. The body responds by holding on to fluid at the wrong times, and sleep becomes shallow. The paradox is discouraging and completely avoidable when you learn to shift volume earlier and edit triggers rather than cutting everything. A quick inventory of a typical American night reveals the first clues: the refillable mug of cold brew with just a splash of cream, a light beer during a ball game, a tall glass of seltzer with lemon after dinner, a square of dark chocolate because, well, you earned it. Each item seems harmless on its own, but taken together, they can nudge the bladder toward heightened sensitivity, especially close to bedtime. The trick isn't to live like a monk. It's to place the right things at the right hour. Here's the first action step that begins changing the night without harsh rules. Capture one honest evening in writing. Nothing fancy. Use your phone's notes. Record all drinks from 3 p.m. onward, including one-sip items and any foods that are notably acidic, minty, or spicy. Also mark the time you sit down for the night and the time you finally lie down. This tiny log creates your map. When you see patterns on the page, lemon seltzer at 9:30 p.m., hot sauce at dinner, chocolate at 10, your next move becomes clear without judgment or guesswork. Second step, adjust the clock, not just the cup. Aim for the majority of your daily fluids earlier in the day, then taper gently in the early evening. Think of your hydration like daylight, bright and generous by afternoon, soft and warm by dusk. You still drink, but you let the body process most of what it needs while you're upright and moving. By the time your head meets the pillow, the kidneys are not receiving a late flood. Third step, create a calm landing before bed. A brief 2-minute pause with slow nasal breathing and a mindful check-in with your pelvic floor can make a difference. If you're clenching from a long commute or a tense meeting, that tension can mimic urgency. Let your abdomen soften as you exhale. Visualize the pelvic floor relaxing and allow the urge to be a cue for gentleness instead of alarm. These are simple moves, but simple is not the same as simplistic. In my experience, the biggest early breakthrough is the realization that the bladder is an excellent communicator. It responds to chemistry, caffeine, alcohol, acidity, to biomechanics, gravity, leg swelling, and to schedules. By listening and shifting, you stop fighting your body and start partnering with it. I also need to say this clearly and respectfully. Ignoring persistent nighttime urgency is more than a nuisance. Repeated awakenings fragment sleep, which can dull focus, nudge mood downward, and leave you feeling unsteady in the morning. For older adults, frequent trips in the dark can raise the chance of stumbles. None of this is meant to alarm you. It's a reminder that restful nights are not a luxury. They are a foundation for safe, bright days. As we go, I'll keep things grounded and practical, no complicated brews or extreme rules. The promise stands. A short, in-bed reset will come later, and it will make more sense after you've tuned your routine. For now, let this evening be your baseline. Notice, adjust, and keep your curiosity on. Your body will show you what helps. The next tip is one of the most important, and ignoring it won't just limit your results. It could also create unwanted side effects like needless dehydration or restless sleep. I'll lay it out in a balanced, practical way so you can apply it safely and feel the benefits. A moment ago, we uncovered a simple but powerful truth. Urgency after dark isn't only about how much you drink. It's deeply tied to when you drink and what quietly irritates the bladder in the evening. With that frame in mind, let's look straight into the North American pantry and bar cart, because that's where many nights are won or lost. Start with caffeine. It shows up in more places than most people realize. The late afternoon Americano, a decaf cup after dinner that still contains a small amount of caffeine, a square of dark chocolate while streaming a show, even some pre-workout gummies that seemed harmless. Caffeine is a known bladder stimulant for many folks, and the timing matters as much as the dose. A practical shift: set a friendly cutoff in the early afternoon. If you love the ritual, swap to naturally caffeine-free options: rooibos, barley coffee, or a warm cup of milk with cinnamon, well before the evening winds down. Now alcohol. A glass of wine with a late pasta dinner or a light beer during the ninth inning may feel relaxing, but alcohol can increase urine production and add urgency in some people, especially when combined with acidic foods. A helpful experiment is to move that drink to earlier with food, or trade it for a spritzer made with flat water, cucumber slices, and a splash of apple, not citrus, for flavor. The key isn't deprivation. It's placing relaxation where your body can handle it best. Citrus and tomato sauces are classic evening culprits. That refreshing lemon seltzer, the extra ladle of marinara on Friday pizza night, or a bowl of salsa-heavy tacos can tip the bladder toward irritation. The fix isn't to ban flavor. Build satisfying dinners that are less acidic. Think turkey and rice bowls with roasted squash, a savory oatmeal topped with mushrooms and olive oil, or a chicken and sweet potato sheet pan with herbs instead of hot sauce. If you crave bubbles, choose unflavored seltzer or go flat. That tiny change, bubbles without acid, can be enough to calm things down. Mint and chocolate deserve a closer look. Both are staples in North American desserts and can relax the lower esophageal sphincter, which may aggravate reflux in some people, and reflux itself can disturb sleep. More to the point here, mint and chocolate can bother sensitive bladders late at night. Saving mint tea and chocolate earlier in the day, or choosing a non-mint herbal blend after dinner, keeps the evening smoother for many. Artificial sweeteners and sugar alcohols hide in diet sodas, zero-sugar energy drinks, protein bars, and low-calorie ice creams. For a subset of people, these ingredients can increase urinary urgency or GI bloating, which indirectly disrupts the night. Read labels with a curious eye, not fear. If you spot aspartame, sucralose, sorbitol, or erythritol in your evening routine, try a 3-day swap to unsweetened versions or naturally sweet foods like berries or pear slices with yogurt in the late afternoon. Let's pull this together with an easy plan you can test without turning your life upside down. Run a 72-hour evening experiment. Keep everything else the same, but implement 2 moves. Shift caffeine earlier, none after mid-afternoon, and remove citrus tomato at dinner. Notice your nighttime awakenings. Many people see a change within a few days when the irritants quiet down. Build a satisfying low-acid dinner template. Use neutral bases, rice, oats, quinoa, potatoes, and layer protein, turkey, chicken, tofu. Season with herbs, olive oil, and a pinch of salt instead of vinegar or hot sauces. Add color with roasted vegetables like zucchini or carrots rather than tomato-heavy sauces. Choose the right bubbles. If you enjoy seltzer, go for plain or cucumber-infused and keep the last can earlier in the evening. If you crave flavor, infuse still water with slices of pear, cucumber, or a stick of cinnamon. Skip lemon and lime at night. Keep a gentle cadence. Pair any drink in the late afternoon with food so your body has context. Small, steady sips beat big, late gulps. While making these swaps, please don't swing to extremes. Over-restricting fluids can lead to headaches, constipation, and daytime fatigue, and it can even make evening urgency worse by creating a rebound effect. The goal is rhythm, not scarcity. If you take prescription medications, keep a consistent schedule and space new herbal or dietary changes from your meds until you've discussed them with your healthcare professional. Here's the moment where many people feel a quiet mini breakthrough. They realize the bladder isn't misbehaving. It's responding to a series of tiny nudges: caffeine here, acid there, bubbles and sweeteners stacked on top. Remove 2 or 3 nudges and the alarm stops ringing so loudly. Nights become smoother without chasing perfection. As you test these ideas, keep your notebook close. A short line like, "No tomato sauce tonight, slept through until 5 a.m." Or "Swapped lemon seltzer for plain at 7 p.m., only one wake-up," gives you immediate feedback that feels motivating rather than strict. The aim is a calmer night and a clearer morning, achieved with gentle edits to familiar American habits. The next tip is one of the most important, and ignoring it won't just limit your results. It could also bring unintended side effects like disrupted sleep or unnecessary discomfort. I'll guide it carefully so you can apply it safely and confidently. You've already seen how small edits to evening habits can quiet an overactive night. Let's make the next move that so many people find surprisingly effective. Teach the body a reliable rhythm. When the bladder can predict the flow of the day, it stops sending urgent alerts after dark. Think of this as giving your system a schedule that feels natural, steady during daylight, calm at night, without extreme rules or deprivation. Here's the idea in plain language. Front-load most of your fluids while you're upright and active, then taper as the sun goes down. A simple target that works for many is a 70-30 split, about 70% of your total drinks by mid-afternoon, and the remaining 30% across the early evening. It isn't a math exam, it's a guidepost. Picture your usual North American day: coffee in a travel mug for the commute, a refill at the office, a lunchtime water bottle, an afternoon walk with a coworker. Place your generous sips there. By the time dinner rolls around, you're not playing catch-up with a huge glass at 9 p.m. Rhythm also needs boundaries that are friendly, not rigid. A practical framework is 3 to 2 to 1. Leave roughly 3 hours between your last heavy meal and bedtime so digestion isn't pushing on the bladder. Give yourself 2 hours without extra beverages, letting your kidneys finish what they already have on deck. Then, dim bright screens for the last hour, because vivid blue light can rev the nervous system and make it harder to notice the body's calmer signals. These numbers are easy to remember and surprisingly forgiving. They guide, they don't punish. A question I hear often is, "Won't I get dehydrated?" You don't need to. Start the morning with a full bottle on your counter. Literally put it where you can't miss it. Pour a glass with breakfast, another with lunch, and another mid-afternoon. Tie sips to routines you already do: brushing teeth, brewing a second cup of coffee, taking a short stretch break. If you exercise after work, hydrate during the workout, and lightly right after, then taper. The art is to give your body what it needs while you're still on your feet. Let's talk about dinner, because the plate affects the clock as much as the cup. Soups, brothy noodles, and very salty takeout can flood the system late and drive thirst right before bed. Swap in balanced, lower-acid dinners that still feel like home. A turkey and rice bowl with roasted squash, a salmon and potato tray baked with herbs, or a savory oatmeal topped with mushrooms and a drizzle of olive oil. Season richly with garlic, thyme, rosemary, or smoked paprika instead of vinegars and hot sauces. You'll get flavor without provoking extra nighttime sips. Another small practice that adds up is the double void. Visit the bathroom once about 30 minutes before you intend to sleep, then again right before you turn out the lights. The first trip empties what's already there. The second catches what the kidneys produced as you unwound. Go without straining. Sit comfortably, lean forward slightly with your elbows on your thighs. Allow the belly to soften and take a slow exhale. If flow stops and you can tell there's still more, stand, take a few steps, and sit again. That gentle reset often helps the bladder finish the job. Your nervous system deserves a mention here. After long days of tight shoulders, constant email, and traffic, the body can misread tension as urgency. 2 or 3 minutes of quiet breathing can smooth this reflex. Try this simple sequence when you're getting ready for bed. Inhale through your nose for 4 seconds, pause for 2, exhale slowly for 6. Imagine the muscles at the base of your pelvis melting downward like warm butter on toast. This isn't mystical, it's basic physiology. Relaxed muscles allow clearer signals, and clearer signals feel less urgent. I want to add one more practical nudge that's often overlooked. Salt. Heavily salted dinners, think deli sandwiches, big bowls of ramen, or a pile of fries, can trigger thirst later and undo your careful tapering. You don't need a bland plate. Just season with herbs, citrus-free zest like grated ginger in the afternoon, or a bit of Parmesan earlier in the day so you're not chasing salt with water at 10 p.m. And if you enjoy a small dessert, place it earlier after dinner so sugar doesn't pull you into a late-night beverage. Because this is about health, I'll keep the guardrails clear. If you take medications at night, continue them as prescribed. Don't move their timing without medical guidance. If you live with conditions that affect fluid balance, like heart, kidney, or endocrine issues, adapt these ideas with your clinician so the rhythm supports you safely. The goal is comfort and consistency, not perfection. There's a point, usually within a week or two, when this rhythm clicks. People describe an aha moment. They notice a longer first stretch of sleep, less urgency at the exact hour they used to dread, and a calmer feeling as they settle into bed. That result is not accidental. It's the consequence of telling your body a simple story every day. Plenty while the sun is high, peace while the stars are out. If you've ever felt at the mercy of your bladder, let this be an invitation to lead. You don't have to overhaul your identity as a coffee lover or your habit of a family dinner. You're just retiming the same life so the nights are yours again. Keep the log, set the 3-2-1 guardrails, choose dinners that satisfy without sparking late thirst, and use the double void as your quiet closing ritual. It's a steady path, and steady is powerful. The next tip is one of the most important, and ignoring it won't just limit your results. It could also bring unintended side effects, so I'll explain it with care and clarity. Timing isn't the only force shaping your nights. There's a quieter player that explains why the urge can flare as soon as you lie down. Gravity. During long commutes, desk hours, or a marathon of games on TV, fluid settles into the lower legs. The moment you stretch out on the couch or climb into bed, that pooled fluid returns to circulation. Your kidneys, being wonderfully dutiful, turn it into urine. If your bladder is even a little sensitive, the message can feel urgent, as if something is wrong. Often, nothing is wrong. It's a predictable consequence of daytime stillness. Once you see this pattern, you can work with it instead of against it. The goal is to move a portion of that fluid earlier in the evening so less arrives at the bladder after lights out. Begin with a simple 10 to 15-minute walk after dinner. Think of it as a neighborhood loop, a stroll with the dog, or a few laps around the inside of your home when the weather is icy. The calf muscles act like a second heart for the lower body. Every step helps pump fluid upward. This isn't a workout, it's circulation hygiene. Add a brief elevation session when you know you've been sitting or standing for hours. Prop your lower legs so your calves are above the level of your heart for 20 to 30 minutes in the early evening. A couch, a couple of pillows, or the wall works fine. While you're elevated, do 20 slow ankle pumps, point and flex, and a set of gentle circles in both directions. The combination encourages fluid to move without strain, and many people notice they don't feel that first surge of urgency the minute they lie down later. Compression socks can be a helpful tool on days with extra swelling, long flights, long shifts on your feet, or long road trips. Choose a light to moderate compression, often 15-20 inabuameki, that feels snug but not restrictive. Put them on in the morning and take them off in the early evening so your legs have time to breathe before bed. If you have circulation disorders or neuropathy, check with your clinician about the right level and fit. The aim is comfort and prevention, not pressure for its own sake. There's also a role for warmth and gentle hydrotherapy, used thoughtfully. A warm foot soak, comfortable, not hot, can relax the lower legs and invite fluid to move. Fill a basin with water around 98-104 degrees, 37-40 degrees C, and soak for 10 to 15 minutes in the early evening. Test the water with the back of your hand. If you have reduced sensation in your feet, choose the cooler end of the range. Adding a half cup of Epsom salt is optional and mainly for comfort. Dry your feet well and give your calves a light upward massage with lotion. None of this is meant as a medical procedure. It's simply a soothing way to shift the evening terrain. Posture plays an underrated part. Hours of slumped sitting can cue the pelvic floor to stay slightly braced, which the brain may misinterpret as urgency. 2 or 3 times during the evening, stand tall, soften your knees, and let your belly expand as you inhale. On the exhale, imagine tension draining down your legs into the floor. If a sudden wave of urge appears, try 6 quick, gentle pelvic floor contractions, short on-off pulses, followed by a long, slow exhale. Those rapid pulses can interrupt the reflex arc that screams, "Go now," buying you a calm minute to walk to the bathroom without racing. Small environmental edits keep nights safer and calmer. Clear a path to the bathroom. Use a night-safe light that doesn't blast your eyes awake. Choose sleep positions that don't cram the abdomen. If you're a side sleeper, place a pillow between your knees. If you're on your back, slide a small pillow under your knees to ease the lower back. These details may seem mundane, but they add up to fewer startles and steadier steps when you do get up. Nutrition supports this gravitational strategy too. A very salty dinner or a late stack of pretzels can summon a second wave of thirst, pulling you into more sipping right before bed. Keep dinner satisfying with protein, fiber, and color, and ease up on the salt shaker at night. If you crave a carbonated drink, enjoy it earlier and choose unflavored seltzer or still water later, so gas and acidity don't add another stimulus. Because health is personal, here are some gentle guardrails. If you live with heart, kidney, or vascular conditions, or you notice significant swelling most days, bring these ideas to your clinician so they can tailor the plan. If you have diabetic neuropathy, use extra caution with water temperature and skip very warm soaks. None of these approaches replaces medical care. They're everyday tools to reduce normal physiologic drivers of nighttime urgency. What tends to surprise people is how quickly the body responds when gravity gets a little help. The first evening you take that short walk or elevate your legs, you may notice the initial urge softening instead of spiking. After a week, some describe a smoother handoff from evening to sleep, fewer abrupt wake-ups, a steadier mood in the morning, and more confidence about turning out the light. It's practical and it's kind, exactly the combination that lasts. Keep the spirit that brought you here, curious, observant, and patient. Pair the rhythmic timing you've established with this gravity-aware routine. Put a comfortable pair of walking shoes by the door, keep a pillow for leg elevation where you'll actually use it, and decide on a foot soak night that fits your schedule. You're building a friendly evening ritual that respects your body's design instead of fighting it. The next tip is one of the most important, and ignoring it won't just limit your results. It could also bring unintended side effects, so I'll explain it with care and clarity. You've already given your nights a calmer rhythm and helped gravity work for you. There's one more lever that feels surprisingly empowering. Invite the right allies onto your plate and into your cup, and do it at the right hour. This isn't a supplement haul or a miracle brew. It's a set of everyday foods and simple preparations that respect how the bladder likes to be treated. Steadily, gently, without late-night sparks. Let's start with something you can hold in your hand. Pumpkin seeds. A small handful, about 1 to 2 tablespoons, roasted lightly in a dry skillet until fragrant, then cooled and sprinkled with a pinch of salt, fits neatly into North American life. Toss them over a bowl of Greek yogurt in the late afternoon, Fold them into oatmeal or keep a tiny jar at your desk. They're satisfying, they travel well, and many people find that placing them earlier in the day helps keep evening snacking and gulping in check. If you prefer a nut-free option, sunflower seeds play a similar role. Greens deserve a practical mention. A lunch built around kale, spinach, or Swiss chard, sautéed with olive oil and garlic, folded into a grain bowl, or tucked into a turkey wrap, brings minerals that support muscular calm without pushing you toward late-night thirst. Pair those greens with roasted squash or sweet potatoes for steady energy that won't send you searching for fizzy drinks at 9 p.m. This is less about any single nutrient and more about a pattern. Calm plate, calm signals. For fruit, choose what hydrates without stinging. Pears and blueberries are friendly evening companions for many. Citrus is better saved for daylight hours. If you love the ritual of infused water, slide cucumber slices into a pitcher in the morning and enjoy it through the afternoon. The combination gives you flavor without the acidity that can irritate sensitive bladders closer to bedtime. Now to a gentle beverage that often surprises people with how soothing it feels when timed well. A cold infusion made with marshmallow root, the herb, not the candy. This plant has a mucilaginous quality. Think soft, slippery, when steeped in cold water, and that texture can feel comforting to delicate tissues. Here's how to prepare it safely and simply. Place 1 teaspoon of dried marshmallow root in a clean glass jar and add about 1 cup, 250 milliliters of cold water. Cover and steep in the fridge for 4 to 6 hours, then strain. Sip it in the late afternoon or early evening, not right before bed. If you take prescription medications, leave a 1 to 2 hour window on either side and skip it entirely if you know you're allergic to the plant family. If you're pregnant, nursing, or have kidney conditions, talk with your clinician first. The goal is gentle support, never complications. A quick word about other herbs you might see online, like strong diuretic teas or intense cleanses. They can backfire. Anything that dramatically increases urine output late in the day pushes you in the wrong direction for nighttime comfort. Choose calm, not extreme. Warm milk with cinnamon, a mug of rooibos, or a barley-based coffee alternative earlier in the evening gives ritual without revving the bladder. Your digestive tract and bladder share close quarters, so bowel comfort matters. A fiber-smart lunch and afternoon snack can reduce abdominal pressure that otherwise translates into urgency. Aim for a mix of soluble and insoluble fiber, oats, beans or lentils, berries, and vegetables. If you add fiber quickly, your gut may protest. Increase gradually and drink water earlier in the day to help everything move smoothly. Again, the timing echoes our larger theme. Generous hydration in the daylight, gentler sips at dusk. Let's talk about sweeteners, because the evening sweet tooth is real. Many North American kitchens have zero sugar sodas, protein bars, or ice creams sweetened with sugar alcohols like erythritol or sorbitol. For a subset of people, these ingredients can irritate the bladder or bloat the gut, indirectly pushing on the bladder. If your nighttime log shows these products after dinner, try a 3-day swap. Half a cup of plain yogurt with pear slices and a sprinkle of cinnamon, or a baked apple earlier in the evening. Keep the pleasure. Remove the nudge. What about probiotics? A daily serving of fermented foods, unsweetened yogurt, kefir, sauerkraut, or kimchi at lunch can support a balanced gut environment, which tends to reduce gas and pressure at night. Choose options that are flavorful but not overly spicy if you're sensitive. You don't need expensive capsules to get started. The grocery aisle works fine. None of these ideas replace medical care, and they should never override prescriptions. If you live with chronic conditions or are on multiple medications, bring your plan to your clinician so it can be tailored. The point here is to build a table that tells your body, in plain language, we're calm, we're nourished, and we're winding down on time. Here's a simple day that uses these allies wisely without adding stress. Late morning, a glass of water and a balanced lunch, say turkey, rice, and garlicky greens. Mid-afternoon, a walk, a refill of plain or cucumber-infused water, and a small handful of roasted pumpkin seeds. Early evening, a cup of cold-infused marshmallow root if it suits you, sipped slowly with a snack rather than chugged alone. Dinner. A flavorful, lower-acid meal like salmon with potatoes and green beans, or savory oatmeal with mushrooms and herbs. Post-dinner, taper beverages, keep dessert small and earlier, and choose a non-mint herbal tea if you want something warm. The mini breakthrough many people notice is this. When your plate and cup stop poking at the bladder, the whole evening quiets. You don't feel deprived, you feel steady. That steadiness shows up at 2 a.m. as one long, unbroken stretch of sleep instead of a series of sprints. It's not luck, it's design. Stay curious and flexible. If a food seems to bother you at night, test it at lunch instead and see how your body responds. Keep notes, not judgments. You're learning the specific language of your own system, and that fluency is a form of self-care. The next tip is one of the most important, and ignoring it won't just limit your results. It could also bring unintended side effects, so I'll explain it with care and clarity. You've done the thoughtful groundwork. Fewer evening irritants, a steady 70-30 rhythm, gravity-smart habits, and gentle allies that respect your body. Now it's time to weave everything into one clear sequence you can follow without overthinking. This isn't a rigid prescription. It's a template you'll shape to your life until it feels like second nature. Begin with the clock. From morning until mid-afternoon, hydrate generously. Keep a bottle where your hands already go, by the coffee maker on your desk next to your keys. With lunch, pour a full glass. Mid-afternoon, finish your final generous refill. As dusk approaches, taper on purpose. Small sips, not gulps. If you exercise after work, give your body a modest drink during the session and a modest one after, then return to the taper. This simple choreography allows the kidneys to do their best work before the night begins. Build your dinner to satisfy, without awakening late thirst. Choose a neutral base, rice, potatoes, oats, quinoa, and add protein like turkey, chicken, tofu, or fish. Season richly with herbs, garlic, and olive oil. Save vinegars, hot sauces, and tomato-heavy dishes for midday. If you enjoy bubbles, drink unflavored seltzer earlier and keep dinner drinks modest. Leave roughly 3 hours between your last heavy meal and bedtime so the abdomen isn't pressing on the bladder as you lie down. As the evening unfolds, give gravity a polite head start. Take a 10 to 15-minute walk soon after dinner. The dog will thank you, and so will your calves. If the day kept you on your feet or in a chair for hours, elevate your legs for 20 to 30 minutes. Prop your calves above the level of your heart with pillows and slowly point and flex your ankles for 20 repetitions. If you use light compression socks on long days, remove them in the early evening so your legs settle before bed. Add a warm foot soak on the nights that welcome it. Fill a basin with comfortably warm water, about 98-104 degrees F, 37 to 40 degrees Est. Test with the back of your hand. If you live with reduced sensation, choose the cooler end of the range. Soak for 10 to 15 minutes, optional half cup of Epsom salt for comfort, then dry your feet and calves thoroughly. This gentle ritual cues your nervous system that the day is closing. If a demulcent beverage suits you, prepare it earlier so timing supports your sleep. Place 1 teaspoon of dried marshmallow root in a clean jar, cover with 1 cup, 250 milliliters of cold water, and steep in the fridge for 4 to 6 hours. Strain and sip between late afternoon and early evening, not near bedtime. Keep a 1 to 2 hour buffer from prescription medications and skip it if you're allergic, pregnant, nursing, or have kidney concerns without medical guidance. The purpose is comfort, not complication. Now, the double void, quietly powerful when done with ease. Visit the bathroom about 30 minutes before lights out. Sit comfortably, forearms resting on your thighs, belly soft. Exhale slowly and allow the flow without straining. Return to your room, finish your wind down, and go once more just before you lie down. This sequence clears what's present and what arrived during your wind down, so your first sleep stretch can be long and peaceful. When you do feel a sudden wave of urgency, use your built-in brake. 6 quick pelvic floor pulses, gentle on-off squeezes, followed by a long exhale. Those pulses interrupt the reflex that shouts, "Go now," and give you a calm minute to walk safely if you truly need to. If the wave passes, stay resting. Your body just learned a quieter story. Here is the promised 90-second in-bed reset for those moments in the dark when you wake and the urge feels big. First, pause. For 10 seconds, be still and notice your breath. Second, perform 6 quick pelvic floor pulses. Think of gently stopping gas, not clenching the abdomen or glutes. Third, breathe in through your nose for 4, hold for 2, and exhale for 6 times. As you exhale, place your attention on the warm weight of your feet. If the urge settles, return to sleep. If it remains or increases, rise carefully, follow your lit path, and void once without lingering. This is a training moment, not a test of willpower. Let's address the quiet consequence that often hides behind years of restless nights. When evenings are a cycle of underhydrating all day, catching up at dinner, layering irritants like citrus, mint, and alcohol, then lying flat as pooled leg fluid returns to circulation, the bladder rings the alarm again and again. Sleep fragments, attention dulls, mood slips, and middle-of-the-night trips raise the chance of stumbles for older adults. None of this is a verdict. It's a pattern you can rewrite. You've already begun. Safety guardrails keep this routine friendly. If you take nighttime medications, continue them as prescribed. If you live with medical conditions that affect fluid balance or sensation, personalize these steps with your clinician. Skip very warm soaks if you have neuropathy. And remember, more is not better. Do the small things consistently rather than forcing dramatic changes. When this sequence becomes familiar, something subtle and lovely happens. You stop negotiating with your body and start partnering with it. The first stretch of sleep lengthens. The urge that once felt like an emergency fades into a clear, manageable signal. Mornings feel steadier and safer. That's not wishful thinking. It's the outcome of a routine designed around how your systems actually work. If this guidance is helping, keep your notes, share what you've learned with someone who's waking up, and consider inviting them to join our community for more evidence-informed, down-to-earth strategies. Your experience can encourage someone else to try a kinder approach tonight. Knowledge shared is sleep restored.